There are a lot of different styles of meditation, from Zen to Dzogchen to Mahamudra. There are two Tibetan, basically very similar forms of practice, to Vedanta, which talks about Nirvikalpa Samadhi, to tantric practice, and the practice that we do, which we call Kundalini Yoga. The Yogi Bhajanites also practice Kundalini Yoga. They are the people who really have used the term much more aggressively than we do. But, I personally take a big issue with their whole explanation of what Kundalini is and, the notion of their practice. But I'm not here to put them down. What I'm here to do is to say that Kundalini is like the most used, least understood term in the whole, contemporary yoga milieu. And fundamentally, what Kundalini is attempting to express is that the whole of reality, this universe and any other universes that might exist, all fundamentally arise out of the ocean of consciousness. It's more sophisticated than that, but let's leave it at that for now, because this is only going to be like another 10 or 15 minute talk, not 3 hours. So out of the whole of consciousness, universes condense, forms appear, particles aggregate and become molecules, which become, planets and stars and black holes and white dwarfs, depending upon, how they aggregate, all the way to the aggregation on a planet of an atmosphere and the aggregation within those various atmospheres, dependent on temperature and pressure of all physiological life forms, which are visible to us and some not visible. Actually, many not visible. This aggregation from the fundamental vibrancy of conscious energy, this aggregation into life forms, is described as Kundalini in its 3 dimensions. Para Kundalini is the universal form. Chitta Kundalini is the form in which all energy is understood to be information, knowledge. And knowledge itself aggregates as cognitive process. And then Prana Kundalini, which is the aggregation of cognitive process into material form, into physiological form and function. Kundalini is the essence of what we are. It is the living energy that, sustains, that the living energy, the living gravity that holds these molecules together in an organizational pattern that allows for continuous physiological process for a period of time. And the reason for the term Kundalini is, originally Kundalini was simply that dimension of us in which energy becomes knowledge, and knowledge becomes sound, or you could say light becomes sound, and sound becomes letters, and letters become words, and words, completely influence the way in which our brain perceives the environment in which we exist. So Kundalini isn't just this body, it's the whole field of our conscious experience, expressed as our body, expressed as self, expressed as other, expressed as information, expressed as that dimension of reality from which all of this experience has arisen in the first place. So to suggest that, Kundalini is asleep and needs to be awakened is not exactly right. If this Kundalini energy, which is our essence, were ever not awake, we wouldn't cease to exist. We would never, ever have existed. So, when we talk about the awakening of Kundalini as a part of the process of sort of becoming completely understanding of and experienced in the reality of our existence, what we're really saying, when we talk about awakening is we want to be able to directly experience our essence, and for that, the mind has to be quieted. We have to learn to still our mind, focus our mind. And in the process of focusing our mind, we need to sustain that focus as the effect of bringing our mind into a quiet place has on this entire physiological system, which is that it will begin to increase the flow of energy in our bodies, in our nervous system, and in the field of experience around us, and that is going to start to unwrap all of the stresses and strains, all of the disappointments of our ancestors that we are packaged in when we are born. That unraveling of those disappointments of our ancestors, the packaging that we came with, is often a stressful and confusing process in itself, because we're so, adapted, we're so reciprocally adapted to all of that packaging that as it evaporates from our world, there is the strong chance that the mantra of stupidity will take hold of us. The mantra of stupidity, the mantra that each of us is, one of two mantras each of us is born with, is, what's going to happen to me? That's the mantra of stupidity. What's going to happen to me? This is what most people go through their whole lives quietly chanting. What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to me? The result of that, over the years, is that we basically become completely freaked out and totally paralyzed by fear. And, that's just what the mind does, because the mind is a threat recognition mechanism. And coming into contact through the process of unraveling all of the disappointments of our ancestors, coming into contact with this great ocean of creative energy, which is beyond form and beyond function, which is an ocean of unimaginable possibility, an ocean of abundance. Coming into contact with that completely freaks out our mind. And it's only through practice, bringing our attention again and again and again and again into connection with the basic energy that supports this body, and relaxing and allowing that to flow until we have reached the dimension of ourselves where the basic energy of our nervous system and the cognitive processes that we are starts to relax and flow, etc. Kundalini becomes increasingly awakened and activated and blessing us. Because Kundalini is, the word Kundalini is used as an acknowledgement that the energy which each of us is individually composed of is the energy of the ultimate reality that has as its fundamental quality profound beauty. Each of us is composed of profound beauty, profound abundance, unimaginable possibility, that if we can connect deeply within ourselves and sustain this flow of divine energy, we will recognize in time we will become fully awakened, not suppressed, not partially awakened by and living with the suppression that is the disappointments of our ancestors. We will become fully awakened and appreciate that this body and this mind are curtains of divine light. Curtains of light. That's what we are. Constantly changing with the circulation of the creative energy, which is the essence of life itself. And appreciating that we are curtains of light, we appreciate equally that there's nothing to cling to, there's nothing to desire or hope for, that the abundance that we are has its own agenda, its own impulse, and it will fulfill itself if we train our minds to, rather than continually building new walls and new boxes and more tensions and bigger attitudes, and if we can train ourselves to sustain ever deepening contact, alignment, and flow, the incredible abundance that is our own essence, the goddess Kundalini, which is our own ultimate identity, fulfills itself. And we endure in the experience of the profound beauty that is at our very core. There's no amount of pranayama that will ever awaken Kundalini. Just doesn't do it. It is flow, awareness and flow, contact, alignment, and flow, again and again and again, that activates and awakens our own essential energy. And as we practice, as time passes, dissolves every kind of tension and allows our creative energy to fully unfold itself. So we go from individual human beings struggling with the bullshit that is this world, to an open person connected to ourselves and connected to our loved ones, ever increasingly connected throughout the whole field of humanity until we experience the total interconnectedness of all living beings, and in which case, seeing that, feeling that, we recognize that all humanity is an expression of, the one unbelievably abundant, completely unlimited life on earth, that the life of the earth. And we can really, at that point, be released from all of our limitations as a human being and enter completely into the experience of our own unbelievable abundance and unimaginable possibility. We're free. This isn't rocket science, and it doesn't take, you don't have to move into a cave or a monastery. You don't have to be an extreme ascetic. I think it's important to be aware of your diet. It's important to move your body, to exercise in some fashion that works for you. It's important to practice, but you don't have to practice monstrously. If you started, and I've used the analogy, I have taken over the last few years to working out regularly. And sometimes I post pictures of my workout on my Facebook page. And, usually when I do that, I piss somebody off really bad who sends me a really nasty note about what a narcissistic butthole I am. Well, the reason why I post pictures of my workout on Facebook is twofold. One is to badger you guys into start doing something for yourselves. And I figure if you see what I do, I'll embarrass you into doing a little something yourself. But the other reason, and other people too, but the other reason is, when I started this out, I could do only 15 augmented push-ups. Do I get some applause? Now, the reason why I'm asking for applause is because the last time I told this story, I said 15 girl push-ups, and a girl in the room corrected me. Said, no, we no longer say girl push-ups, we say augmented push-ups. That means I had my knees on the ground. That's all I could do. But I never tried to do more than that. I always just tried to do what I could do. And so doing what I could do, after a couple of weeks, I could do a little more. And now, after a few years, I can do 150 push-ups with my feet on a bench. I started working out with 8-pound weights. Now I do back flies, that's laying on a bench with a dumbbell in each hand. I do back flies with 70-pound dumbbells in my hands. I am personally shocked, surprised, and delighted that I can do that. I'm not bragging about it. I think it's unbelievable. But the thing that's really important to me in telling you this story is, if you were to practice just 10 minutes every day, or 10 minutes 3 days a week, practice something that you can actually do. Okay, once a week. I don't care what it is. Practice once a week. And when that's not enough for you, practice a little more. And do a little more. And in the same sense that if you begin to practice just doing what you can do, a year from now, you're going to be shocked and delighted at what's happening for you. And 2 years from now, you're going to be blown away. And 3 years from now, your life is going to be an expression of an unimaginable possibility that you never in a billion years imagined was available to you. And I could tell you story after story after story about my own experience that would demonstrate that. You have this, each of us has, this amazing energy inside us. We have amazing energy. In the old days they would say divine energy. We have this amazing energy in us. And if we could just start to begin to activate that with our attention, if we can just start to feel into our chakras, these centers of tremendous power, and just by feeling into them just for a little bit, start to activate these centers and get this energy flowing in us, it will change us in time very profoundly. And we will start to have a spiritual experience that will consistently blow our minds. It's not complicated. It just takes doing it. It not only benefits you, amazingly, it benefits every single person that your life touches. And you'll never know. I'm constantly getting messages, on Facebook and a little on Instagram from people who say, oh, I saw you 30 years ago in Ann Arbor, or, that was the latest, or in New Jersey. But I'm constantly getting messages, you really changed my life. Well, I wasn't trying to do that. And I'm not trying to say that, tell you this to get any credit from you, because I don't care. What I'm saying is that if you develop yourself, you will move through this world full of joy most of the time. And that movement, that flow within you will change the lives of people you will never know for the better. And how cool is that? Namaste, everyone.